Hey, Moose Country, welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of This is Moose Country, the official podcast of your Halifax Mooseheads. Here, as always, with Brad Cuzner, and Brad got a great guest on the way this time. Fans fell in love with this player in his brief time here, really only like a season and a half. Yeah. We've got Stephen Davis coming up for you. Dining with Davis fans will be very happy to have him join us today.
Yeah, great chat. Just a great guy. You could tell, looking through getting an assistant captain in the second year that you're here is pretty special. So obviously a special type of person, but a lot less of a hockey chat, more of a life chat. Yeah. So it was great to catch up with him.
He would be a great life skills coach.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He was great.
Awesome to talk to Stephen. Again, one of the best personalities that we've had on this team in my 11 seasons with the club. It's not always easy to pull stuff out of 16, 17, 18-year-olds at times. And he's just a comfortable guy to talk to, and great to catch up with him. But let's start with the recent road trip. The Mooseheads were finally coming back home this weekend after a long stint away for the month of November, basically. Last 5 on the road. They come away with 6 points out of a possible 10. So I think that is success. 2 losses, not so great. We'll get to those in a moment, but they pick up wins over Quebec, Baie-Comeau, and 1 of 2 over the Newfoundland Regiment. What do you think about the Mooseheads and their victories?
Yeah, some big wins. We talked about Baie-Comeau before. Those games are must-win games. Yep. So you need to make sure you're winning those games. Quebec's a very tough team, on the rise like we are, and to get that win is huge. And then Newfoundland is a good team too. They've kind of been a bit of a roller coaster. They've had some success. They've had a few losing stints here, but as we saw the next night, they're when they turn it on, they're a really good team, and they got some firepower in their lineup with LaRose and Belanger and these guys that Sharkey that can all score, and a team not to be taken lightly, but a huge win for us to kind of prove again that we deserve to be where we're at.
Yeah, and still kind of staying ahead a little bit of Newfoundland in the standings right now as well. You mentioned Sharkey. That's I didn't have that on my bingo card to talk about today, but that's a player I think you hate to play against, you'd love to have on your team.
Yeah, he plays the right way, but I think late round draft pick, traded for almost nothing, and has now drafted in the NHL, and is one of those guys in the league now. We've talked about it before. There's a few unicorns. I think Danny Walters we've talked about many times of just being that under your skin, hard to play against consistently, and Sharkey's that kind of guy.
The throwback style.
This throwback style, and Sharkey's the type of guy that can do all of that and produce. So it's a deadly threat. It's one of those guys that you always want to go into games and you want let him sleep, because if you wake him up, he can get under your skin, make the game real tough to play against, and produce on offensively. It's a scary combo. Yeah,
playing for the perfect head coach, I think, for that role as well. Gordy Dwyer, that's his style. He's done a phenomenal job over the years, both with Charlottetown and Bathurst, now Newfoundland, of kind of cultivating that sort of play.
And you look at a guy, another good example would be LaRose. He's had some great years for sure. Second half of the year probably fell off a little bit. Thought he was going to be more of a threat when he got moved, and then comes to Newfoundland, and he's playing that hard to play against style, and obviously offensively he's thriving there because he's getting more chances, and they play such a smart game. They're it's not just you look at some teams that Moncton, for example, want the puck all the time. They want to possess the puck all the time, whereas a team like Newfoundland, they understand opportunities that they can take offensively, and then they're putting pucks behind you and making you work and grinding down defense, and LaRose is doing that and getting his looks and getting points. Yeah,
their power play has been pretty good. They look really good against us. They give up their fair share of goals. They didn't Saturday, but throughout the year, I think that's been their downfall a little bit in terms of they play that open style maybe, and it costs them at times. But fun to watch.
If that's your style, you look. You kind of take the good with the bad on that. You look at our style last year with Andrew Lord. He was a very defensive coach. We didn't create much offensively, but we didn't give much up defensively. And, Brad would be a little bit more. You look at some of our games, they're high-scoring games. He likes the offense. He likes to create more offense. Gordy would be the same in Newfoundland, that love the offensive side of things, but you're going to give up some defensive plays because of that.
Yeah. So 3-2 on the trip. The wins, Quebec, Baie-Comeau, and one against Newfoundland. Mentioned those 2 losses, really tough. I think we kind of mentioned the last pod too. Sags are really who we thought they were at this point, and they put a 9-3 kicking on the Herd to finish. It's a tough one to finish with, and that 3 games in 4 days in Quebec, you finish with probably the best team in the league right now. What did you learn about Chicoutimi in that game?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago and last year you could see this coming. You're seeing a team. I think they were in the hunt for. We kind of had Moncton and Rimouski in our division last year, or our conference last year, and then you had Chicoutimi fighting for that 3rd spot, 4th spot all year, kind of in that middle mix with a very young team. So you could kind of see it coming before it even came to fruition now. And they're fast, they're high octane, they got a lot of weapons up front, and
Lecomte, Massey, Guite, and more
and more. Yeah. And then you got Huang on the back end, and you got some guys that move the puck but play hard, and that building's not easy to play in. It's the ice is a little bit bigger, and that helps our offensive game. But
and Yannick Jean behind the bench.
It's they're a good team. They're going to be tough to beat, and they're destined for a run. They were kind of building through the draft, which is they've done a great job of it, and they showed us that night that they're a true contender.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this kind of secondary road trip had to end in similar fashion. On Saturday, it was over quick, and you could see it from the 17-second goal that started that one. But the Mooseheads just didn't have their legs. They didn't look like they were in it at all. 5 minutes into that game, it was 3-0. They lose 7-0 to Newfoundland. We talked about how lengthy it was for the team to get there. It just bad set of circumstances how it happened. There was some weather in Ontario. They had to take the flight from Halifax to Toronto and then get delayed there. It was nearly a 24-hour ordeal to get to Newfoundland. They get in around 4:30 in the morning and then get up and sleep for a bit. Got to play later that day. Basically, they come away with an 8-5 win that night. But were they running on adrenaline, on fumes, and then it catches up to them the next night? Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's a long day. That's a tough process, and it's no fault to anybody. That's just part of having a team where they have it, and it happens all over the world, and it is what it is. But good on them to be ready for the next night, because getting in so late, getting up and playing that first game is tough mentally, and like you said, you're running on adrenaline. You're just there. You're this is what we have to do. I know how to play, and it's almost like the second game. You look at when games aren't going right, you look at responses, and so we get scored on immediately in the first shift, and our response immediately is more of a shell, more of a back off, which typically you get scored on, you want to create more momentum and kind of push back, and we didn't, and it looked like we were tired, we were not on the ball, we weren't on our toes, we weren't creating plays, and come the first period, it was, you don't want to say over, because as Stephen Davis will say, what's his
build it and they will come.
Build it and they will come. That's
we'll get to that.
Yeah, build it and they will come. But we couldn't get any momentum going, and Newfoundland did a great job of just shutting it down once they got up, and continuing to press. And there was a few moments we kind of pushed back, but it looked like everybody was a little jet lagged.
Yeah, it looked half in, half out a little bit there, but I think worst game of the year. You put it behind you, right? And now you're coming back home. We got 2 games this weekend. Looking forward to it. Got Rouen, Aranda, and Val-d'Or coming in Saturday and Sunday. So back to home cooking here.
You talked to we had a great interview last week with Dom, and Dom talked about that game. Like, they had the same thing against Gatineau. Theirs was first game of the year, but one of those games that, like, okay, it happened, it's over, move on. Theirs was a little bit of a humbling experience. I think ours is just more of a, that's okay. It happens during the year. At the end of the day, a 7-0 loss, a 1-0 loss, they're the exact same on the score sheet. So, move on and be ready for the next.
Okay. Hey, shout out to the folks in Newfoundland, though. The regiment looked like they're doing a fantastic job. The atmosphere was great there. Entertainment was good. Really happy to see hockey back in Newfoundland, and they're doing things really well. And can't wait to maybe we can make a trip one of these days and join them. So
that would be great.
And also major shout out to. Did you see how many Mooseheads fans, very familiar faces, season ticket members, see you guys every game, and to see you over there cheering on the herd, that was incredible.
Yeah, we listen. We've talked about it so many times. We got a diehard group of fans here who love traveling with the team and love being with the team and know a lot more about the team than we do. So it's awesome to see them over in Newfoundland. It's a great spot and. Great place to visit. And like you said, their team is doing an incredible job of, their fan base there is pretty diehard already without even, awesome. having a history behind the team. So it's awesome to see.
I think my biggest takeaway from these last 5 games, the road trip, coming out party for Oleg Kulebyakin.
Yeah.
What can you say about how this guy has played? 8 points on the trip. And for me, it's not just the points, it's how comfortable he's looked out there trying things. He looks like he's full of confidence right now.
Yeah, we've talked about it. He's still a young kid, right? Mm-hmm. So he gets over here, he's high in the draft. You're expecting a lot out of him. And, with Euros, we kind of have, we've had a great background in some of our Euro picks, but you tend to have a little bit of a little less patience with some of our Euros, just because you're like, you're picked so high, we need so much out of you, and you need them to be top 6 producers. And
there's a lot of pressure.
And then you get in and, you get put with good players who have produced at this level, and, it's not really working for you, and it can get overwhelming very quick. And Oleg's done a great job of kind of just calming himself down, realizing I'm very good at hockey. I can play this game very well. And, you can see now he just oozes of confidence. He's trying things that not many players can do, and he's producing offensively because of it. But he's a fun player to watch, and the more confidence is just going to be good for us and good for producing offense.
Yeah. Well, I think if you told anybody to have 17 goals by the end of November, everybody would have taken that, right? That's up there amongst league leaders.
Yeah, and we knew he was a goal scorer coming in. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the 1A for him, was that he could score goals, and took him a little bit to get going. But he's got the knack for the net. You look at other guys that are, tons of shots, and he's the one that's finding those little holes that, I look at, Quinn's another guy that on the power play coming down that flank, he somehow finds these little holes over the goalie's shoulders that, I know I'd still be playing if I could find that hole, but guys like Oleg, guys like Quinn, true snipers can find those places, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Another guy kind of unsung so far this year, I think his fellow import, Yasu Mensinen, also had an incredible road trip. He had 3 assists in one of those games, and just doing a great job on that line with Kulebyakin to, be the setup man, and just he drives the puck hard. He's done a great job too.
He's the Finnish style. He plays that to a T, right? He's hard down low. He's tough to play against. He's kind of uses his base to shield guys off, and he's starting to grow confidence and making plays too. I found at the start of the year he's playing more of a defensive style, even in the offensive zone of, I don't want to turn this puck over. Yes, being very careful, and now we're 20 games in, 25 games in, and now he's realizing, okay, I can play here. I understand the game well enough. I can see plays, and I can try to take a few more risks without giving up that defensive side, because he is very smart defensively. He's very smart, in his own zone, and he's hard to play against. So he's going to be a threat, moving forward.
Well, so here we are. Mooseheads finished with that giant road trip. Month of November, we saw 2 home games with the Olympic curling trials here. That's out of the way, and now we can really maybe pick up some steam here, and they've really held their own treaded water quite nicely, and 3rd or 4th place in the Eastern Conference right now, and a chance to start picking up some points on home ice. We've, like I said, got Rouyn-Noranda, tough overtime loss to them earlier, last month, and then I think we beat Val d'Or. in Val-d'Or. So 2 winnable games coming up, and then another one coming up on Thursday the 11th against Charlottetown, Thursday the 18th, and then home again December 28th and December 30th as well. So we have a lot of home games coming up this month.
That is great memory on you. I show up when the game starts. So that's no, it's they're all, we've realized come, earlier this season that they're all winnable games now. Yep. There's less juggernauts, less, there's a lot more parity in the league that, looking at the standings now, Victoriaville with 22 points, they're a team that's tough to play against. They get some
weapons.
They have weapons, right? And I think all through the league, there's any given night, any team can beat anybody. So, especially for us who's, we've been clicking. So, Val-d'Or, Rouen, we can kind of play with anybody.
Yep. Love to see us go on a run here. So let's start it on Saturday night.
That's right.
And I think now it's time to start a nice little chat with our buddy Stephen Davis. We'll toss it over to Stephen. Well, we have a fantastic guest with us today. Former Mooseheads defenseman, played a couple of seasons here in Halifax from 2020 to 22. A man that has a way with words, loved by all that got to know him. And you remember him well from Dining with Davis. He is the incomparable Stephen Davis. Stephen, happy to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. Quite the intro, too. You really, really hyped me up. So I really appreciate it. It's great to be here.
You made a lasting impact here in Halifax, that's for sure. Just happy to have you join the pod. The fans have been clamoring to have you back in some sort of capacity, to see what's going on in your life now. So why don't you start by telling us where you're at, what you're up to these days?
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear the fans are clamoring. I might be one of the only Mooseheads ever that is like more known for my media appearances than playing. So that's kind of a cool feather in my cap. But yeah, so once I stopped playing for the Mooseheads, I just really stepped away from hockey and focused more so on learning about media, television, journalism, things like that. So I'm still at Boston College, just about to finish up and trying to explore what I'm going to do for work once I graduate. Looking into some things in television and media and stuff like that. So it's been a very different lifestyle since I stopped playing hockey, but it's been very rewarding and a great experience to get back out into school and learn and stuff like that.
Where'd you get the spark to want to do the television stuff?
Well, that really came from playing for the Mooseheads. I think that when I was playing junior hockey in the U.S., when I was in high school, I definitely had an interest in podcasting, speaking. I knew I was a good speaker and naturally not afraid to get in front of a camera, but we didn't have a lot of opportunities there. And then, once we did, I think it was the Canadian Food Challenge with Attilio, got some heat off of that one, and I really enjoyed it. And then we did more stuff. And then Gareth and I were working together a lot through interviews. And then I would get in the broadcast booth with him. And it just was a natural fit. And I kind of discovered that was where I was maybe a little bit more talented than my backward skating and ability to put the puck in the net. So that was a big thing, but it was a lot of fun and definitely gave me a spark to want to pursue this.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Dyer, who's, I remember, our former game day promotions manager. He was the one who came up with the food challenge with Attilio and introduced you to ketchup chips, I think.
I still get people even friends of mine in America will watch those and they get super fired up about them. And it took me so long to get used to hearing the sound of my own voice, because everyone would be like, "Oh, let's play this in front of you," and it's so weird to hear your own voice. But now I'm okay with it. So if people throw it on, I love it. I still like the fame. I'm gonna milk every ounce of it.
You got 0 shout outs to Scotty for starting your career here. I mean, the guy's the best of the best, but
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I knew you were getting there.
Was the higher up. Scotty was the higher ups back then.
He made you nervous, did he?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We mostly just had the day-to-day production squad. Scotty was watching from above.
After you did the food thing, it was like, what can we do? We need to do something with him, right? And I'm a sucker for alliteration. And it's like, what can we do with Davis? So, and food, that's how Dining with Davis began.
There you go. It's you're still playing hockey. You obviously have a passion and pursuing this career. Does it take away from the hockey, or is it just as focused as you ever were?
No, definitely. I mean, I still play, but it's less intense. And I think that was a big aspect of it for me, stepping away I'm really trying to pursue hockey at the long term, where I think that, especially playing for the Mooseheads, playing for some of the teams I did, I think you have to be all in on hockey if that's what you want to do. And to really be great at it, you got to really eat, sleep, breathe hockey. And I think I was reaching a point where it wasn't necessarily where I wanted my complete focus to be. And I wanted to start thinking about and transitioning into other things where I knew I probably had talent and some interest in. So I think that aspect of still like hockey, I still like to watch, play, and be around the game. It just wasn't going to end up being the center focus of my life like it deserves to be if you want to be at the highest level. So I think that was a big aspect of it as well.
We talked just briefly right before we came on here, and you kind of gave us a rundown of what what you're doing with this TV journalism sort of career right now, and maybe tell the fans what you've done and where you're going with it as well.
Yeah, so I've done a couple different jobs since the Mooseheads. I did work in like a marketing sales role at one point as an internship, which was cool and a good experience just to learn some of the skills of networking, being around people in a big company and things like that. But then last summer and hopefully going into next year, I worked for ABC News for Good Morning America. So I was on the set of the show, really working on the day-to-day production side of things. And that's been a focus of mine in school as well. When we did Dining with Davis, I was the talent. I was the bright, shining star that got all the glory, but I had no idea how cameras worked, no idea how any of the production side of things worked. So that's been more of my focus in school. And then so far, when I've been working at ABC, it's, being in the background and learning how they write scripts, learning how they produce the show on the day-to-day basis. And it's a lot of fun. It's really intense because it's a big morning show and they move really fast and it's really intense, but it was a really cool experience to work there. And I'm hoping as I graduate college, I'll have the opportunity to work at a show like that again or be able to experience another outlet or another media form.
Wait till they give you a microphone. You won't be in the background anymore. Trust me.
Well, that's
the goal. That's the goal.
That's the question is I'm guessing in hockey, it was always the NHL. You learn on both sides. What would the ideal pass be? Where would you end up?
I would love to be in front of the camera because if you give me that microphone, I'm never going to give it up. But yeah, I definitely think that would be really cool. I think that for a while, I was really interested in the sports media, sports journalism aspect of things. But as I've been in school, I have a little bit more interest I'm a very big news junkie. So I love the news. I, read it, consume, like it's kind of bad. Actually, it's a little too obsessive, but I do like news. And working for that show, I can see how the news really works. And ABC's owned by Disney, so there's a lot of different shows going on under one roof. So you get to understand how they work and what they're really trying to pursue with their content. So I would be interested in being on camera, probably not in the morning show format, because it's really quick, fast paced. I like the nightly news sort of thing. And then I also have some interest in sort of what you guys are doing, which would be podcasting, more long form, more open conversation without a script. So I think that at this point, I would like to be in front of the camera. Where that takes place, I'm not quite sure, and I'm open to a lot of different avenues, but definitely something that's fairly broad in terms of what the content is, and where I get to do what I want and be able to speak in front of the camera and hopefully make people laugh and make people think.
Yeah, I was similar to me, a big current events kind of junkie back in my time, or was a news reader on radio for a number of years as well, and where does your passion lie with news? Is it human interest? Is it politics? Is it the crime beat? What sort of?
It would be politics.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, I don't know, just the era I've grown up into. It's really
lots
crazy.
to talk about.
Lots to talk about, lots to break down. And so, yeah, definitely with politics. And I take a lot of classes about that, a lot of political science classes and things like that, too. So it's definitely a big interest of mine in school, too.
Now, let's go back and kind of walk us through, your path before you even get to the Mooseheads. You from Hingham, Massachusetts. Tell us again. You're a history buff too. I know that. So give us the history of Hingham, Massachusetts. What's that town about?
That's a great question, actually. And if you've heard of this new Ken Burns Revolutionary War documentary series that just came out, it's I know it's making some waves in America. You guys probably don't care about it up there.
I watch all the PBS stuff.
Yeah, it's great. I've been watching it recently, but Hingham is really, it's in New England. It's near Boston. So it's really the heart of New England. It's got that feel of old school. All the houses in my town have been around for a really long time. There's a lot of rules in the town too about what you can and can't do development wise. So like if you go on the main street, every house is white with black shutters. They're really old. So it has that feel. It's really pretty on the water. Actually, Abraham Lincoln's ancestors immigrated to Hingham, Massachusetts from wherever they were from in Europe. But there's a statue of one of his, like, I think Samuel Lincoln in our town. So we have that aspect of things too. Definitely a Revolutionary War feel to it. A lot of history, which goes along with Boston. So that's pretty much where I grew up. I moved around a little bit, but I would definitely say Hingham, Massachusetts, it's home. And it's a beautiful place, a lot of history, a lot of character. And if you're ever in the South Shore of Massachusetts, I'd recommend it, Scotty. I think you'd love it.
I would love it. Similar, again, from the Annapolis Valley around the Wolfville area was very, historic in terms of a lot of New England planters have come up, and there was, I like that. I like that stuff too.
It's fantastic.
You said there's some rules, some specific rules. Is there anything that's kind of like completely outdated that you're like, I can't believe we're still hanging on to this rule here?
No dancing on Saturdays.
You're right. I'm not sure that there's anything that's enforced, but there might be some rules in there that are crazy. All I know is I remember when I was younger, someone in one of the historical parts of town tried to build a pool, and then the whole town went up in uproar. Like, there was one side of the town that was like, you deserve to do cannonballs and have the pool.
Yeah.
And then the traditionalists were like, no, it changes the look of the street and whatever else. So, we have like Facebook groups in town, and people were just erupting, going at each other's throats. Just all about a person could get a pool. And that it's just stuff like that, and there's no color Christmas lights during Christmas season. Gotta be white Christmas lights. So that's another rule. I think it's pretty cool because I'm not a big fan of the like Griswold Christmas lights. So
I
Keep it classy.
I gotta say, as a cannonball champion of the East Coast, I would hate that rule of no pools. So that's crazy.
Yeah, you talked about.
Yeah, I think it was just the development of it. I actually was a belly flop champion at once.
Good.
Right, have that in common as well. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you mentioned about moving around. You spent time in Nashville, Tennessee as well, right?
I did. Yeah, about a year and a half. And that was before Nashville really blew up. Now it is a huge city. I probably lived there in 2015 or 16. So that was when it was really a city in America on the rise, one of the smaller southern cities. Now my sister actually goes to college there at Vanderbilt. So I'll visit from time to time, and it's just really stunning how different it is. Everyone's discovered it. Used to be kind of a hidden gem, and everyone's discovered how fun it is. It really is a fun town, especially if you like music, live music. If you like your cocktails, it's really great too. And there's good food. So it's really blown up, but it was a cool experience to live there, especially at the time I lived there, because it wasn't quite what it is today. It was just an up and coming city, and the Predators were really good at the time, which was great.
Yeah, would you say they've had a hand in kind of growing the popularity of that city?
Yes, I think sports in general have, and even hockey's really blown up there. Where when I was playing there and I was probably 13 or 14, there was like one team, one ice rink or two ice rinks. Now there's like 6 or 7. People are playing from when they're really young. There's a lot of good coaches, a lot of ex-NHLers hanging around there. So I think it's a huge part of the culture of the city, and then just growing hockey in the city. It's getting way bigger now.
Yeah, now we got Zach LaRue and Justin Barron there.
Absolutely. Yeah, some Halifax guys. And they probably, I mean, I'm sure, I know you had LaRue on. I didn't listen to the whole episode, but I'm sure he enjoys Nashville quite a bit.
Yeah.
Tough spot not to enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into your Mooseheads days, you got drafted 2018. You got drafted in the 14th round. Did you talk to the team before? Did you know that was going to happen? What was the experience like for the draft day?
Yeah. So I was a really early recruit to the NCAA. This was back when, now they put a rule in where you can't commit to college until you're, I think, 17. But this was before that. So I was a really early recruit. I was like 14 when I got recruited to Boston College. So all throughout high school, that was my main focus. I was like NCAA, especially if you're from the Northeast in the Boston area, you're crazy to think about going anywhere else. And I was playing really well that year that I got drafted. I did hear from the Mooseheads before I got drafted. I think they came to a summer tournament or something like that. And Cam was there. I met with him just briefly. He was just sort of trying to give me the broad strokes of what Major Junior offers. And the U.S. scout, Ryan Fairbairn, was there as well. So I met them, and I knew that I was on their radar. to some degree. And then I think I was going to my first USHL training camp or tryout camp when I saw that I'd been drafted by the Mooseheads in the last round, which was sweet because I didn't follow the American draft.
Yeah.
So I had that over all my friends that got in the American draft. I was like, I'm a real major junior draft pick, and you losers had to get in the supplemental one. So yeah, I got drafted, and I think my agent at the time was like, "You got to go." And it was a Memorial Cup year when I went to that training camp, so it was just a no brainer to at least go and experience and get a feel for what was going on in Halifax and in major junior overall. Because I didn't really know much about what was going on in major junior. It had a really bad stigma in Boston, where it was like there was for some reason this concept that if you didn't go to the NCAA and you went to major junior, your life was going to be over if you didn't make it to the NHL. You wouldn't get an education. You just would, who knows what you'd be doing.
So we don't have schools here, right?
That was, I mean, to be honest, that's the stigma. And I think the College Hockey Inc. and the NCAA does a great job of sort of creating that. Now it's different,
Yeah.
but back then that was the stigma. But I still was such a good experience to go to camp, and then it led me to play there. So it was cool.
Was it always BC? Was that the spot you always wanted to go to growing up?
I was never, there's a lot of guys that go to BC or BU or Boston schools that were live and dying at that school from a very young age. I wasn't. I definitely think I wanted to go to a Boston school because it was close to home, but I did like the size of BC, about 8,000 people. I went to Catholic schools as a kid, so the Catholic aspect of it made sense. And they were really, really good when I got recruited. And they're still a good squad, but back then, really, really good. So I was definitely pretty dead set on going there throughout high school and throughout when I was developing and getting into juniors and stuff like that. So I didn't really ever think about switching schools or considering another path until other options made more sense and became more available.
Yeah. So that training camp you come up to, did it, spark anything? You're thinking, well, maybe this is an option, or were you still just, okay, well, I'm going to go to Madison, play USHL, and carry on with my BC career?
Definitely before I went, it was for sure, oh, I'm going to go to the USHL and carry on with the NCAA route. And I was just going to come up here really for the hockey experience, because it was Memorial Cup year. I knew I'd be playing against some incredible players. And training camp, especially if you're doing 48 hours, which you guys don't even have to probably do that anymore.
No,
now
it's
that guys,
changed. Yeah.
It's crazy. But the 48 hours is perfect because you play like 4 scrimmages, which is ideal. You're not really practicing. You just get to play games against really good players that are older than you.
Yeah.
And then the red carpet was definitely rolled out that training camp, given a Memorial Cup year. So a lot of fans were there, but it was really cool. And I played really well, which was good, and turned some heads, especially with Cam and Ali and Eric Vayu at the time. So that was a really cool experience. And I definitely left being like, wow, they do things right up there. I mean, it was just top notch. From my experience in that first camp.
Just before we get into Halifax, I wanted to touch on the USHL. Obviously probably a league that we would compete against quite a bit, but how was your experience down there in Madison?
My experience was a little rough that year. We had a very bad team. I played a few games when I was 16 and 17. They had asked me to play on the team full time at 16 and 17. And I didn't think I was ready for it. Didn't think it would be the right move for my career to jump to juniors that early. So I was going to wait until my last year of high school to do it when I'd be 17 going on 18, which is what I did. We had a really bad team. We lost we won like 10 games. So being 17 away from home was a really tough transition and a tough year. We lost most nights. The coaching staff wasn't as on point as we needed to be. And a lot of players were leaving. We were just trading in and out, guys leaving the team. So it was a long year, and it was good in some respects where I had to grind through a lot of things, but at the same time, it wasn't the development aspect that I probably needed at that given time. So there was some good and there was some bad to it. It was definitely a character building experience, and the league's definitely a lot different than major junior in the way they run things, in the way they approach how players develop.
Yeah, you're in Wisconsin playing for the Capitals. Not far down the highway, I guess, from Milwaukee. But do you ever get to a Green Bay Packers game?
I did not. I did get to go to Lambeau Field because we used to play the Green Bay Gamblers, and
Right.
I think I was hurt, so I couldn't play in the game, but I traveled with the team, and then I got to go into Lambeau. I went to the Packers Hall of Fame. I would have loved to go to a game.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if I would like to go to a game because they look really cold.
Yeah.
And
In September,
I have
it'd be
no
great.
problem watching. I have no problem watching football on TV.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect of it as well.
Another trivia question for you, because I saw it's when I looked at where Madison is on the map, I saw the town name Sheboygan. And what Christmas movie was that brought up in? Do you does that ring any bells?
Good question. Oh, well,
Polka. Think
if you
polka.
ever see, I'm going to go a different direction. And while I'm thinking on it, if you've ever seen the animated film Surf's Up,
Yeah.
the Chicken Joe is from Sheboygan.
Oh,
so
there you go.
that was the first thing that came to mind, because for the listeners out there that haven't seen it, that's one of the all-time animated movies ever. It's truly great. It's about surfing penguins and a chicken. But the Christmas film, I don't know. I might be a little stumped on that one.
Well, it's before your time, but a famous one, Home Alone, is what I was going for. If you remember the Kenosha Kickers, John Candy, the scene in the airport with the Polka King. Yeah. Anyway, really big in Sheboygan.
Really big.
Okay, that's good to know.
Anyway,
I'm going to use that.
off
I hope
topic.
you guys won't get too many listeners, because I'm going to use that on somebody and get them and act real smart.
Well, you're good. We don't have a lot of listeners, so you're good on that. That's
your mom and dad.
Yeah, there you go. So you're playing with the Madison Capitals, and then that year you go to, during COVID, you go to Boston College. Were you guys playing, just full practicing? Was everything shut down? How did that work?
It was a mess at the time. It was really crazy. And I mean, I'm sure you guys remember just how uncertain everybody was about quite literally everything. So our season got shut down in the USHL, and I remember that day that the world shut down was just crazy, and we took a 2-week break, and then a week in, they're like, we're not coming back. So that season was done, and then all leading up to the fall that I was going to step on campus at Boston College, everything was up in the air. Like, what we were hearing over the summer was, maybe we'll play in November, maybe we'll play in the second half, and then the Ivy League shut down. And then they opened the transfer portal, where you used to have to sit out a semester or sometimes 2 semesters, a whole year, before you could play for your new team. They got rid of that rule. Then they gave 5th years to guys. So there was just a lot of different things happening in the NCAA at the time. When I got to BC, we started out practicing as one team, and then restrictions tightened up quickly. So then it would be 2 different teams. And then sometimes we go into 3 groups. And then a bunch of guys got COVID. So it was just so much going on, and I don't think games really got played until November. And even then, it was like there was a game on the schedule, got canceled. It was just chaos, and a really hard time for us young guys coming in to get to know the team, get to know the school, get opportunities to play. We lost a lot of guys in my class. We all kind of went different directions after that season. It was just a very difficult year to transition to a new team. And they ended up playing some games by the time I had left, but it wasn't even a real season. It was just insane.
I seem to remember Cam Russell talking to me about wanting to get you up here for the second half of the season. He had talked to Justin Barron, and Barron was texting with Alex Newhook and saying, well, Davis is, just going around crushing everybody in practice.
Yeah. I mean, it got me into a little trouble, but I mean, it was a complicated situation. It got me into a little trouble, but there was a couple different pieces of me leaving and going to the Mooseheads. I had considered it before the season started. I had gotten a call from Allie in the summer leading up to the NCAA season starting. And I just remember being very up in the air about, is this the right decision to be entering the NCAA at this point in time? Because we might not have a season. And am I really going to use a year of my eligibility on this season? And then Allie called me at the time, and I was still on his radar because they recruited me heavily the year before. Mm-hmm. So when I went into the USHL, Cam and Allie, they put a full court press on me to come play my last year of high school that I played in Madison up there. And I'd considered it very heavily, and I was really close to doing it. Fast forward a year, and I played it for Madison, and then Allie calls me in the summer, and he's like, we're going to play this year, and you guys might not. So this could be an opportunity for you to come up here. So I was really considering before the year started. And then I went to BC, and aside from all the COVID stuff, I did not like the culture of the team. I did not fit well with the culture of the team. I also probably wasn't mature enough as a player, understanding the game to be playing on the team, and I didn't get a lot of opportunities. And then, the coaches kept telling me to crush guys in practice, and then I crushed guys in practice, and they got mad at me for it. So I was just like, "What is going on here?" And by Christmas, I was like, "Okay, I think I could just use this as an opportunity to finish my semester and go to Halifax," because I was already really heavily considering that, and it seems like as good a time as any.
Yeah, and I know that we brought you up during the Memorial Cup when we hosted here in 2019, you and the family, and let's talk about your experience then. Of course, that was a stark contrast of atmosphere when we had the pandemic compared to a sold out crowd at the
Yeah.
Memorial Cup.
Yeah. So I was really I was really considering that year, and it was a long process of having conversations with Cam and Ryan Fairbarn and Ali as well about the potential of instead of going to the USHL, playing in Halifax. And it was so foreign to me, the concept of playing major junior, because it had never really been a thought until I got drafted and went to camp. So I wanted to come up and like see a game and get a feel for what Halifax was like during the season. And it couldn't have been a better year to come up. And I think I came in like February or March, but it was just incredible. Like the place was packed. The team was so good, and I was allowed to go down below to the locker room after the game, and I met Eric Vayu again, and got to meet Cam and Ali again. I met Bobby Smith for the first time, who was also a huge part of me coming to Halifax as well. I really thought he was just a class act as an owner and had all his priorities in the right place. So it was just everything was perfect, to be honest. There was nothing I could really draw away from Halifax at the time besides it wasn't the traditional path that I was used to as a player growing up.
So you get up here, the pitch is, hey, we're going to play games this year, and you only get to play Cape Breton and Charlottetown over and over and over again.
Yeah, that was crazy too. And I was thinking about this yesterday because when you texted me to come on, I was like, oh, I was thinking about, because I haven't thought about it in a while, that year.
Yeah.
And so I got COVID around Christmas of that year. So I was like really sick right before Christmas and over Christmas. Like I couldn't even be around my family. I was just sleeping all the time. And then we came up to report up in Halifax on January 3rd. So it was like I had COVID. I cleared my quarantine period, and I had about like 4 days to skate or work out a little bit before we had to come up to Halifax. And then it was another 14 days in a hotel. So that transition was crazy, but there was nothing you could do about it because it was the rules. So I didn't know what to do, but I was definitely getting a little stir crazy. And then the cases rose, and then we're just playing Charlottetown and Cape Breton, and Charlottetown was tough and a hard team to play every other game. So it was just a little.
Sorry, how many goals did De Rousseau score with you on the ice?
Probably a lot. I mean, we used to get crushed by then. And then they had Beauregard, who ended up being a teammate of ours, but he was just like a pain.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that, and I'll always say this, the Canadians are a lot tougher than Americans. So like everyone would ask me, what's the difference between major junior and juniors in the US? And I was like, first of all, Canadians know the game a lot better because I think it's just taught better from a young age. And then they're a lot tougher. And so playing Charlottetown night in and night out for like 3 months, and, Beauregard was trying to kill people, and Elliott was a tough guy. They just had a tough team, and they played that way. I was like, this is insane. But it was a good way to start. I think for me that year, it was a good way to start my major junior career.
It's got to be tough mentally being like, okay, I'm going to play them tonight. Like you always have that, okay, we'll play them this time. And my battle with a certain person is, it's through the roof, but I got another 2 months until we play them again. Whereas you're thinking, this is the only team I'm basically playing this year. So every time I play Beauregard, I don't know how many, 10 times did you play?
Man, it was like a condensed schedule too. It was like, we got them 3 more times this week.
So mentally, you got to be exhausted being like, okay, it's not just Tuesday. It's Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, next Tuesday. Like it got to wear on you.
It was like training camp, but just extended. It was what it was like. It was like we're playing inter-squad scrimmages the whole time because we didn't know if it would lead anywhere either. When cases would go up, it was like, all right, we're done for 2 weeks, and we just practice every day. So it was just crazy, and the uncertainty of it was insane. So at the time, I guess it was really good to play hockey at the time, and we were lucky because a lot of other teams weren't, and that was something that we had to be happy about. But it didn't really lead to anything in the end because the season just shut down eventually. But it was mentally just like, oh God, we got to do this again. It was hard. It was hard, and I'd love to go back and watch the film of some of those games because it couldn't have been great hockey at a certain point.
It's a little demoralizing, I guess, but there's especially because there's no like just we had pods of fans like we weren't allowed to have many there. It was you couldn't do any sort of like we're big on entertainment here. Couldn't do anything aside that wasn't on a video screen, and it was it was a weird time. But during that time, you had head coach JJ Daigneault. Any good memories from having JJ as the boss?
I would say that when I got to the team, it was already like they were shell-shocked soldiers a little bit in terms of just the monotony of the season. And he was a little bit more controversial at the time. So I think everyone was getting a little sick of each other at the time. And probably him included. So he was actually good for me as a defenseman because I had come from a team in the USHL that wasn't detailed about playing hockey. And that was a real hole in my game.
Just hockey in general.
Just go there.
I mean, just the small details of the game. And I didn't have a good film coach, didn't have things like that. So he definitely taught me a couple of things in terms of like, being physical or down low and being able to take time and space away from people. But other than that, I don't have a ton of memories of him. I was thinking about this last night because I was just kind of going over that year. I honestly forgot that he was our coach for a while. But it was just an interesting time, and I don't really know what was going on back then.
So you go from JJ, then you get Sylvain Favreau. Do you got any good Sly stories for us?
Yeah, I loved Sly. I loved him, and he was the assistant with JJ, so he knew all the players, but he was smart about, like, he was kind of a player's coach, but he was quiet and never really talked to anybody. But when he did, it was in a smart way. Like, he was definitely very smart about how he approached the team. He definitely knew that I had a lot of pull in the locker room and stayed on my good side, because I think that's a big part of being a coach. Is like, always the players are going to make fun of the coach. That is always going to happen, no matter how great of a coach you are. And I was a famous impressionist of coaches. I could always do a great job of that. And so, if you got on my bad side, I could definitely turn that impression into something that's not necessarily fun. But he was on my good side always, so I definitely had some impressions of him. But he was just an interesting guy for sure. On the road and stuff, he was funny, and when you're together for that long of a season, you get so acquainted with your coach's quirks that everything that they do, you just laugh at. And it was a fun year that season, and I think he did a great job with us during that transition period because we were so young and trying to rebuild and stuff like that. So it was a great year, and Brad was there and Liam. So we had a great coaching staff and a great group, and we used to laugh a lot. The players could kind of break the boundary between the coaches, and me and LaRue especially, like, really would get in their ear, and it was a lot of fun.
I reached out to Brad last night, Benji Newson as well. I was like, guys, what should I ask? What should I ask Steven about? And they both said, ask him about PP Gold and the Trotting Fox. So can you explain what those are?
Great questions. Great memories from them. Yeah. So we had, like, the defenseman was, I'm trying to remember. Why not? Myself, LaFrance, Tessier, Furlong. He was really young, but he was really good at the time. And Schultz. So, like, the odd guys out of that group are me and LaFrance. Like, we're both older guys on the blue line. LaFrance he had hips like a greyhound, like a dog. He could barely turn. And I was like Aaron Rodgers out there, an old Aaron Rodgers. I couldn't move too good either. So we never got a chance at the power play, but we had like a PP red, PP1, PP2, or a PP red and a PP green. And then we started our own power play called PP Gold, which was just like all the plugs on the team, all the guys that were maybe just kind of grittier, that didn't have much skill, big PK guys. So we started PP Gold, and I think I might have gotten 2 goals on the power play where it would be the end of the power play, 20 seconds left, and Brad would let me go out. And then I get out there and probably, I think one time I lit up a goalie, just sniped on him. And it was like PP Gold's the hottest power play we had. But they had plays on the top PPs and we never even got into those conversations. They had the meetings in film room. We never even got to look at the door. I think they locked the door and pulled the shutters down. They wouldn't even let us look at what was happening in there. They wanted us to have nothing to do with it. So we'd have our own PP Gold meetings. And the discussion was we had a play called the Trotting Fox. And I don't necessarily know what the concept of the play was, but it was like LaFrance just walked the blue line and shot on the net. Like, it was incredibly simple, but we somehow managed to make it into a really, really big deal. And laughed about it a lot. So it'd be like PP Gold time, Trotting Fox. And then we'd go out and it would just be the most basic, like, might power play. And we'd have some success, though.
It's funny hearing you say that. I played in Cape Breton before I came to Halifax, and we had the snappers power play, and it was the exact same bunch of fourth line guys never got power play. And the whole idea was 4 people in front of the net and 1 person just shoots it from the point. And that was, but also we got zero minutes on the ice. We were not even the last of the power play were we allowed on, but it's funny that still happens and still a thing. It's all the fourth line guys just dreaming of being on the power play.
I hope it still happens. And part of the key of it was like turning things that to other people made no sense or didn't have a place on the team into a way bigger deal. So that was one of our skills, is like every time we got a power play, LaFrance and I would look at Brad and be like, let's go, PP Gold time. And they went through a really bad dry spell at one point where neither power play could score at all. And we're like, it's time to go to gold. And everyone was getting frustrated, like all the top guys, Denoye, LaRue, like everyone was getting really frustrated. And we were just laughing and talking about PP Gold being the answer to the problems.
You talked about some of the young guys. You got Schultz, you got Russo, Cataford. Just did you know from day one that these guys were going to turn out to the players that they were?
I think so, for sure. I remember Schultz was, because he's American, and he came what was supposed to be 48 hours to camp, and he was awesome and really skilled. He was young though, and I do think it's a big transition being an American to a Canadian league because it's a challenge. Like, just the difference in how knowledgeable guys are about the game is a serious challenge. So he would definitely had an adjustment period, but he was so skilled and so naturally good on the power play and on the blue line and with the puck that I think I knew for sure he was going to be a good player. Cataford was like instantly just a different player. Like, already from the first few games was already stronger, tougher, better, it's more skilled than a lot of the older guys. So that was a no-brainer as well. And I saw Furlong from the beginning as well too, and he was really great. And maybe the biggest surprise was Rousseau. I didn't necessarily expect him to play the way he did. And that season, he was just phenomenal for us, especially going into the playoffs. He was an incredible player, and really, that was when he was kind of born, I think, as a player and what he could do. Because that playoffs, he took us very far when we were not at the position we should have been in.
Yeah, that was the series against Bathurst, right? You win the first 2 games, and they win in the best of 5. Is that what it was? And kind of his coming out party?
Yeah, that, and I think just the end of the season leading up to the playoffs, where we'd stolen quite a few games from a lot of good teams that were probably better than us. We stole a couple from Charlottetown. Like, we were just on a good little roll towards the end of the season, and it carried into the playoffs. We ended up losing that first round, but he stole us some games and brought us to a place where we probably shouldn't have been at the time.
I heard, is he a bit of a late night gamer?
Yeah, he had some interesting quirks, man. I mean, I'll tell you,
goalie.
Yeah, and there were they had a nice little string of goalies in Halifax during my time of some odd birds, and he was up there with the best of them. But yeah, he loved gaming and loved McFlurries. Like, he always loved going to Bathurst because it was the home of the McFlurry, and that was like the first thing he would say, and it was just some interesting times.
You end up in your 20-year-old season, you end up being the odd man out. Just tell us, is that kind of, when you start thinking of different careers, or how do you start dealing with something like that?
I think that my mindset about that season had started in the year before. I definitely, during my time in the USHL into the COVID year, had lost some confidence in my game and had gotten a little bit away from the player that I once was, just through a lot of different experiences and through not playing a lot of hockey during the COVID year. So that was a tough period of time. But that season that I was the assistant captain, we had a full year, got fans back in the building. I think definitely the second half, I was starting to amp it up as a player and return to form. A big part of that was Brad McKenzie. And I do have to give a shout out to Brad because he was probably the favorite coach I ever worked with. So I'm glad to see that he is getting to the position I think he deserves, where he was incredibly detailed, incredibly hardworking, and was a huge aspect of my game that season. So I knew that second half of the season, I was starting to get back to the player I wanted to be. I mean, I never was going to be a 1 or 2 defenseman. I would always be a second pair guy who was consistent and pretty tough, and simple. So I knew that was the case, but I was getting to a point where it was like I was very reliable. And so during that period of time, I was also doing media stuff. So I knew that I had other things on my mind in terms of what I wanted to do with my career. But I remember at the end of the season, I was like, all right, I'm coming back. I want to be a 20-year-old and we'll see where this goes. Like, it could be a great opportunity to play my 20-year-old season. I think we'll be a good team. And then from there, I would love to go to like Dow or somewhere like that and, be around the Moosehead still, in some capacity. And also it's great school. So that was sort of my plan going to my 20-year-old year. Now, a couple draft moves happened over the summer and I was training pretty hard and doing a good job, but I think it was a couple weeks before the season and it hit me. I was looking at our depth chart and I was like, ooh, there might not be a place for me here. Given what they were trying to do with that season, I was pretty aware. And it was like, I had a panic at one point. I'm like, all right, I don't really have a backup plan if this goes south. Like, I have plans for my career outside of hockey. I have plans for my career inside of hockey. If I don't make this team, which I'd never given the sense that I wouldn't, but it just made sense to me. From the depth chart perspective, I wouldn't probably be on the team. So I was starting to make some plans about some backup plans of like being able to come back to Boston College as a student, and then potentially putting out some feelers about what I could do in hockey in Canada, university hockey, and then some backup plans in junior. So I'd already had a feeling of that just a couple weeks before training camp. Fast forward, I drive up and had a great training camp actually. And so I definitely knew it was on the table, the potential that they wanted to go with a younger team and find a different 20-year-old. Given how I played, I did not expect it at a certain point, but eventually I was the odd man out. And at the time, a lot of guys would be angry or upset or, heartbroken. And I was to a certain extent, but at that point, because I had already known the potential for this to happen when I was just driving up to training camp. At that point, I was like, if it doesn't work out, then I think that maybe this is just the way it's supposed to go. And it's a sign that I need to consider other options and maybe, pursue the other things that I'm interested in outside of the sport, because I knew I probably wouldn't be able to play in the NHL. And if I played professionally, it would be a grind. And I don't know if my heart would be in that. So that was really how that transition went. And I had no ill will towards the Mooseheads for that. I understood the decision and I could see it coming too. So it wasn't like I was completely blindsided. Maybe I was blindsided within the communication of it, but I was not blindsided within just the depth chart and my understanding of how they wanted to build the team out.
Yeah, definitely one of those ones that hurt fans, hurt the staff as much to make that decision, and you hate to lose somebody of your character kind of thing, but you took it with stride and you did kind of move into those things that you wanted to pursue. You were back not that long after doing color commentary with Gareth McDonald, right? So
yeah, that was the funniest thing ever though. Like, cause the ownership changed, then you guys had a plane to go to President's Cup finals. So I was on the team in training camp. And then I was on the team playing as an announcer at the same team. Like, I don't think that's ever been done before.
No. And yeah, Brad McKenzie said too, to ask you about convincing you to come with the team with no luggage. What was that about?
Yeah. So I think I announced in the Moncton series, I flew up to Halifax, me and Jonesy and LaFrance came too. So we were like, we'll do a little reunion of our guys, go to the games. And G was like, you want to announce? And I'm like, absolutely, I'll announce, just want to build a portfolio up and get my voice out there on the airwaves. So we went up, had a great weekend. I did that with G. And then when I went to Quebec City for the first 2 games, he asked me if I wanted to come up, and it's only 6 hours from Boston. It's not that bad of a drive. Could kind of nail that out. Mm-hmm. So I went up for just the first 2 games. I brought just luggage for 2 nights. Game 1, game 2. I got there that day and announced that game. And then we did the second one. They were flying back to Halifax for the next 2. all the staff, every single one of them were like, dude, you got to stay. You got to come with us on the plane back to Halifax. You do those 2 games and you can leave your car here. And then when we fly back for the next 2, you can just do those games and then drive home. And I was like, I don't know. I have no luggage. I'm like just at the end of my school year where I think I have a paper due. I don't know what to tell you. This seems like a crazy idea. So I said no originally, and I was driving back to Boston, and then it kind of just, I was in my head, I'm like, what am I doing? Why don't I just do this? This is hilarious. It's such a good story. It'll be so funny for me to be on the team plane. I'm a staff member now. Like, this is awesome. So I turned around on the highway and I called like Allie or Brad, and I'm like, I'm coming. Let's go. Give me a seat. And I got on the plane, flew to Halifax, stayed with one of Cam's friends, just stayed at his place, and like went out to Boston Pizza every day, and and then did those 2 games, flew back to Quebec. I think I did 2 more, and then got in my car and drove home. I think I like I had to declare at the border. They're like, did you buy anything in Canada? I was like, yeah, I bought underwear and socks because I ran out.
Any coffee spill incidents during that time? Somebody said something about a coffee spill on your suit, perhaps.
No? Oh, I might have had one. Yeah, I did spill a coffee on my suit. It was before a game too, because I would go into the coaches just try to make, I guess they just wanted me to make them laugh, because I became like buddies with the staff at that point, and it was the barrier was broken where I could just be hanging out with the coaches because I wasn't a player anymore, and it was fun. And I'd already been friends with them. I could make fun of them and stuff like that, and which I did in plentitude when I was a player. But now I wasn't even. So I was just going to coach's room, and I was drinking a cup of coffee, and I pour a brand new cup, and I just dumped it all over myself right before the game. Like 10 minutes before guys were going on the ice. Brad's like pointing and laughing at me. No one's helping me, and then I just went up to the broadcast booth, just stained in coffee.
I was gonna ask, do you sit with the coaching staff then, or do you go back to the back of the bus with the boys, or how does that work?
I was going full staff member at that point. Yeah. I actually would love to send you guys a selfie of what I took when I got on the plane. I sat in the front next to Allie, and within 5 minutes, he was just passed out of sleep, like snoring. He spent like 5 minutes before just incoherently rambling to me, and then just fell asleep. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm a staff member now. This is what they must deal with day in and day out.
Yeah. That is the full Allie experience.
Yeah. But I mean, all the players were just like, I think I got on the plane, and LaRue or someone came up to me and was just like, how did you pull this off? Like, what? How are you on the team plane right now? You're not on the team.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. This is how we do it, man. This is how we roll.
You get cut from the team, but you're sitting in the coach's room being like, this guy's not good enough. He's not up to the level we need. Like trying to get yourself back in the roster.
Yeah. I think that I also met Cam and Allie. They came scouting in Boston that same year. And I like went out for beers with them or something. So it was just like, I was just not a player anymore. And I was cool. I was great to go hang out with them. So
one more story Brad asked me to bring up. He said, you may or may not remember this, the Build It and They Will Come game.
Oh, I was thinking about this one yesterday. I think that is a game that I like single-handedly potentially won for the Mooseheads. And I'm glad we can get it in the media that I can take credit for this. So I think we were up in Charlottetown, and it was in the second half of the season, and during my second year. So we were actually playing a lot of fans, and we start getting killed like the first 2 periods of the game. Like we got murdered. It was 4 or 5-0. And everybody on the forwards, we had a little sulky group of forwards back then too. Things would go bad. They didn't have the mental toughness of the back end where things would go poorly, and they couldn't handle like we could. So we're like down 5-0, and we had a goofy decor too. Like we like to have fun back there, and Brad would let it happen a little bit, which was good because there was a lot of energy we needed at the time to keep things light. And I started saying, like, if you build it, they will come, after literally anything happened on the ice. Like a guy would change. I'm like, that's it. If you build it, they'll come. Let's build on it, guys. And it was just a mantra. We just repeated it from halfway in the game till the end of the game. And slowly but surely, like, LaFrance dumps it in. We're like, great dump. Build on it, boys. Build it. They'll come. Great dump. Like anything happens. Someone makes a mistake. We'd be like, that's all right. Let's use our attitudes and build on the attitude. And slowly but surely, we started coming back. And the build it, they will come mantra spread throughout the entire team, from the decor to the forwards, and the coaches were getting fired up. And all of a sudden we like come back 5-4 or something, score a bunch of goals, frustrating Charlottetown. It was just an unbelievable display of energy on the bench that I am happy to claim taking the charge on, because it was an epic moment. And I think Sly called me in his office after. He was like, "That was unbelievable. Even I was getting fired up." And I'm like, well, also, Sly, I was kind of goofing around the whole time, but it was, like, somewhat serious, somewhat goofing around. At that point, what are you going to do? You're down 5-0. You got to do something. So it was an epic moment.
I wanna ask about your time on with G. Was there any like, oh wow, this is live moments, or you're like, pretty smooth? Scotty's mentioned you're pretty good with your words.
Yeah, my first time doing it, I was hurt right before Christmas when I was on the team, which was very odd for me. I used to do interviews with G before every single game. Him and I had a rapport, and he had to pre-bank the interviews for between periods. So he would come up to me and be like, "Yeah, you want to do an interview?" And so we got pretty consistent where we were just getting the magic going, and we had some chemistry. And then I was hurt. And so when he was doing his pregame interviews, I was in the lineup. And he's like, "Hey, you want to come up to the booth and do color?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm on the team. I don't know if that's normal that a current defenseman, assistant captain, goes up and does color." And I'm like, "All right, I'll do it for a period just to try it out." It seemed like fun. So then I went and did it for the whole game and like loved it. I'm like, this is really fun. And it was a little tough at first, just realizing that you are live, can't say anything crazy, and you don't want to sound like an idiot either by going or bumbling your words around. But I was pretty good from the start, but it definitely was intimidating. And then when I stopped playing, I went back with him, and I also would love to get a little loose in there too, but within reason. Like, you don't want to be disrespectful to the players or to the broadcast either, but I like to kind of push G out of his comfort zone just a little bit, and he liked it too. So we had a good rapport of giving it back to each other, and it would be funny but also good. And he does a great job. So it was great. A big part of that though was the balance of like, when do I chime in, when do I not? I don't want to hear my voice all the time. And I also don't want to like gas up my own players, the guys I played with. So I honestly ended up going the other direction and like really kind of ripping into guys when the team was doing poorly.
Yeah, you had a line, and I can't remember. I will not do it justice, but it was something about, you're talking about how Sylvain Favreau has about the camp stove, a Coleman stove, or something like that.
Yeah, he said he used to always say, one of his lines was, if you were down in the game, he'd be like, "Let's not fold the tent. Let's stay after him. Let's not fold the tent." And I think I said, like, on the air, and especially when you're in the broadcast booth too, like these ideas would come to me, and I'd be like, "This is a great line. I'm going to use it." And I don't know if someone's going to appreciate it, but I'm going to use it. And it was like, Sylvain Favreau loves to say, "Let's not fold the tent. Let's not give up." But I'm like, this Halifax Moosehead team looked like they just folded the tent, packed up the coolers, and left the campsite, something like that. And I didn't think anyone would hear it because it's so late in the game. But like every staff member came up to me the next day. It was just like, that was a good one.
There was no build it and they will come that night on the bench, was there?
No.
Yeah.
No.
This one is over.
You had PP
that
Golden.
was that.
Yeah.
PP Gold, and that is play-by-play gold. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brad, you want to take it away with some quick hits?
Yeah, just some quick ones here to end it off, if that's okay.
Sounds great.
Most talented player you've played with?
Alex Newhook.
That's a pretty good one.
Not a Moosehead.
Yeah. fake Moosehead there.
Yeah.
Funniest player you played with?
Probably LaRue. He was his entire existence was funny. Even when he wasn't trying to be. Like, he was funny.
Hardest coach you've played for?
Hardest is in terms of their intensity or in terms of just the whole experience of playing for them?
Do both.
I would say hardest coach to play for was JJ Daniel. Hardest in terms of intensity, Sly at like the beginning of the year. I'd say, like when he was first head coach, he was intense.
Okay. Worst Q rink that you played in?
I really didn't like Cape Breton for some reason.
Okay. Favorite playoff series you've ever played in?
I think I only played in one, so it would have been the Bathurst one.
Favorite team to beat in the Q?
It was probably at the time Charlottetown because they were so good.
Favorite teammate ever?
I probably got to give it to Zach Jones.
Zach Jones. Least favorite player to play against in the league?
It was Beauregard for that year. He was awful. And then we became teammates, which was hilarious. But we all hated him. Everyone hated him.
Most underrated player you've played with?
Underrated. I don't know. I think all the guys get a lot of love. Maybe Furlong doesn't get as much love, but he became a star after me. I don't know. He was great.
Okay. And favorite bar / restaurant in Halifax?
Great one. I got to probably go with Dirty Nelly's.
Dirty Nelly's, good man.
I got to go with that. Because then you get a best of both worlds. They usually have great live music, good shepherd's pie in there too, which is so that place is awesome.
Classic.
We've only heard the bicycle thief, so it's good to change it up.
Really?
Yeah, that's the big one.
What are these guys doing? What are they doing up there? Yeah.
No, that's a great one. And you say Zach Jones, I have to give a shout out to your Bridgewater, Massachusetts boy, right?
Yes. He was huge for me because he was already on the team for a whole year before I came. So we're two Americans in the trenches together, up in Canada, getting weird looks. And then we also got to bond about how different Canada was. It was a fun time. He was a good buddy of mine and a great teammate at the time.
This has been incredible having you on, Stephen. Great to have you back. Can't wait to see you on Good Morning America. It's only a matter of time. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Brad, I know that was your first time catching up with Stephen, but how much longer before you break out the Trotting Fox in Beer League?
Yeah. Listen, that's awesome stuff. I think that's funny that's going through every locker room at all times, just the fourth line guys coming together. And I still, it doesn't matter if it's beer league or not, I'm still not on the power play. So it won't get brought out for me.
Yeah. Well, what a character. Great to have you, Stephen. And we'll be chatting again sometime soon. I know the fans are gotta love that interview. He was a wonderful guest. So thanks once again for doing that. And that'll do it for season 2, episode 6 of This is Moose Country, the official podcast of your Halifax Mooseheads. Remember, if you're looking to know when that next episode's coming out, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell button on YouTube, and you'll be notified right away.
And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure to give us 5 stars, leave us a review, and leave us a comment.
All right, we'll see you next time.